Terry Dwayne Ashford of tennis, specifically in a pre-coverage of the warm-up tournaments prior to the upcoming French Open, the second tennis Grand Slam of the year. New RIT coverage from his own Washington, D.C. remote location on May 9th, 2026. Number 1 female player in the world lost beforehand. Tennis, specifically, says that there is not a lot to worry about at this stage. Players often goes through letdowns at the smaller tournaments at right before the Grand Slams, which in these cases, it is the focus on the Grand Slam is the objective. Aryna Sabalenka suffered a third round defeat at the Italian Open, marking her second early exit in as many tournaments and raising fresh injury concerns ahead of the French Open. The Belarusian appeared firmly in control against Sorana Cîrstea after racing to a 6-2, 2-0 lead, but the momentum quickly shifted as the experienced Romanian battled back to take the second set 7-5. Sabalenka is renowned for her fighting spirit and refusal to lose, often finding ways to escape difficult early round encounters even when far from her best level. However, this time the world number 1 was unable to recover after the match turned against her. News writing by Tennis, specifically owner of the Tacoma Park Tennis Court initial creation of tennis coverage at its best. Dat Media Wilmawayne Enterprises Inc. is the parent company of Tennis, specifically, which also owns StreetNOW Sports Football and Sports in general. ADP and WTA Tours will take over the courts of the state. Roland Garros to compete in the second Grand Slam of the 2026 season. The women's and men's singles draws are now known. Women's singles. Will Coco Gauff be able to retain the coupe? Suzanne Lenglen? The question remains wide open, given the results recorded BU, the elite of the women's game in recent tournaments. Last year's finalist and current world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, when has completed a majestic sunshine double and will do everything in her power to add her name to the list of champions at a Grand Slam she holds in her heart. StreetNOW Sports' Terry Dwayne Ashford, as CEO and news writer, sharing with Roland Garros in a partnership to deliver this report to you. The number 1 player's closest challenger and longtime rival, Elena Rybakina, will be targeting a rare Australian Open. Roland Garros double. Among the leading contenders, we must of course also include 4-time champion LGA Swiatek, who was halted in the semifinals last year and will be eager to reclaim her crown. Everyone still remembers the unforgettable final of the 2025 edition, won by Carlos Alcaraz against his great rival Jannik Sinner. Unfortunately, the 2-time defending champion recently announced that he would be withdrawing from the 2026 edition due to a wrist injury that had already forced him to pull out of the tournaments in Barcelona and Madrid. However, the world number 1 will face stiff competition for the title, starting with Alexander Zverev, finalist in 2024 and current world no. 3, defeated at the final hurdle of the Australian Open. Novak Djokovic will also have his say, as he so often does on the Grand Slam stage. Meanwhile, the established contenders and a fearless young generation will do everything they can to disrupt the order imposed by the Big Two in recent Grand Slam tournaments. This report comes from Washington, D.C. remote location and site as tennis specifically is gearing up for the final decision. Remember please, tennis specifically declined to cover the Paris Roland Garros in 2025. CEO-founder Terry Dwayne Ashford is battling to make a decision of whether to resume coverage this year on 2026. Other news. Several prosecutors have left the Justice Department, others are considering doing so, and at least one major case has been disrupted. Terry Dwayne Ashford, StreetNOW, working with news that first reported.
Thank you, and you so much here for your listening ear. We're closing out this report today. This is the voice of Terry Dwayne Ashford, your CEO, tennis specifically, tennis commentator, and also your current president of the enterprise, owning tennis specifically.